What is up, guys? Petzergling here, bringing you the winners game of Group F, Lost Saga MSL Round 32. This is Hwasin versus Flash, and you know what, although it isn't too surprising, I mean, really any result could have been unexpected here. Hwasin taking down Jaedong with an incredible feat of micro, an excellent time, well, I wouldn't really say a timing attack, but just a real excellently executed build. And Flash, I think, pretty handily winning against Firebat Hero. He really didn't seem to struggle too much. I mean, I think Firebat Hero made a few mistakes, but Flash overall macroed very well, made some smart decisions. So both of these players definitely deserving to be here. And Hwasin's TVT is actually pretty good. I think his stats came up there 49 and 30, which is just excellent at a pro game. And I think Flash, they're 22 and 13. So as you see, you know, not much better, if at all. But Flash, just a monster in TVT. Hwasin has a real aggressive style. I really like to watch Hwasin play, but Flash is just superior. So I think Flash definitely is a favorite to leave this group 2-0, and just for sinking 2-1-0. So what do you think? This is played on, I didn't get to look, I'm going to say Destination.
Yeah, that looks like Destination. What do I think? I mean, you can't pick against Flash in this matchup. I mean, Flash is just overall a better player. He's better TVT, and he's playing better right now. So you have to pick Flash. But that being said, I mean, really, it's not out of reach. I mean, Hwasin, as we showed, it looks like he's in pretty good form. I mean, taking Jaedong out with a really awesome mic. So I mean, anything's possible. Hwasin is a very strong TVT player, and like I said in the last game, if you happen to see it, there was a time when he was considered the best Terran. So I mean, he's definitely got it in him to outperform against Flash here.
Yeah, and Destination being a two-player map, once again in TVT, we may see some sort of cheese craze opening, but it looks like neither player opting for the proxy barracks. Both players building fairly economical supply depots right by their mineral line that allow the SCVs, after they're done working, to get back right on the minerals as fast as possible. And generally, in almost all matchups, that's pretty much where the metagame has gone to. You know, even less and less you see Terran's walling in versus Protoss, but it looks like Flash actually in the purple Terran top and Hwasin in the teal Terran at the bottom, but Flash looks like, oh, that's
awesome
a nice
painting.
poster. Yeah, that's phenomenal. But yeah, it looks like Flash
He's gonna grow up to be an artist.
A very forward barracks. You know, they're not showing it. Yeah, so there it is right there. It's at the bottom of his base. And I think Hwasin has actually almost mirrored exactly what Flash is doing. And I'm kind of surprised that neither player went for kind of like what Firebat Hero did in the first game, how he checked around his base and looked for a proxy. So, you know, Hwasin, you know, I think Flash is definitely going to use the same thing that Jaedong did, assuming that Hwasin's just going to play a completely honorable standard game. So, you know, I guess it could go either way. Flash looks like 3 SCVs on gas, going to stick to that a while until he gets his factory down. And I have to imagine, with that forward barracks positioning, that both of these players are going to go for a pretty standard Vulture expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that we're going to see any kind of shenanigans here, considering they're both going to plan to lift off their barracks right away. So, I mean, at most they're going to build one Marine, and that one Marine is really going to take forever to kill off an SCV. So both players are going to have a scouting SCV in their base. Actually, never mind. Flash is not going to have a scouting SCV in his base. Hwasin decided not to scout. But at the very least, we know Hwasin's not going to have much of a chance to do any kind of strange play, because there's going to be an scouting SCV in his base for a really long time. Just doing a little bit of cute harass there, not really accomplishing much, but at least he forced him to switch SCVs, delaying him for half a millisecond. I mean, you never know. Okay, so it looks like Flash is taking SCVs off gas, so he's going to go for a quick span. So is Hwasin. So they're both going to go for a Vulture CC here. Pretty standard. They're both going to go into the macro game. And I mean, it should turn out to be a longer game. I mean, it's really hard to do any kind of attack on the natural on this map. I mean, as hard as it is in TVT, on this map even harder because of those tiny narrow bridges. It's even going to be hard to stream a lot of Vultures in, just because you just have almost no space to get in there. Those bridges are just so narrow.
Hwasin, the red sniper, and you know, definitely living up to his name. He's been playing just excellent lately. That not only, I'm sorry to spoil, but, I mean, games are games. He just beat Best in the OSL. It was only game one, but, although I think Best kind of threw away the game, I think Best is garbage and he throws away every game he loses. But regardless, Best known pretty well for his Protoss versus Terran, and Hwasin isn't exactly the top Terran versus Protoss player. So, I mean, definitely a good sign for Hwasin. And, you know what, I'd say I'm looking forward to Hwasin playing up to speed again, but I mean, I'd say that for every Terran. But I think Hwasin definitely has a nice style. It's not like a super macro style, real boring to watch. I mean, he has lots of exciting builds, he has good control, and he's definitely one of my favorite Terran players, even though, once again, I say that about pretty much every Terran player. And Flash seems like a little bit more confident. I mean, you saw in the beginning of the game, he scouted early, he just pretty much kept tabs on Hwasin, and only now does Hwasin know what Flash is doing. And Flash, just from the looks of his base, once again, I mean, just completely assuming that Hwasin is going to go for the completely standard game, not putting down an academy or an armory. And I think, judging by that third factory, I think Hwasin's going to do the same. And because he got his third factory so early, I'd have to imagine that Hwasin's going to transition into vultures, possibly with mines instead of going for Goliaths. So I'm kind of surprised, especially in the group stages like this, when both play, in a Terran versus Terran on a 1v1 map, we saw 2 games in a row where neither player gone for anything substandard. And I guess with players of this caliber, you don't really need to do that, but usually you see players playing a little bit more careful. I mean, if one of the players, especially Flash, considering that Hwasin didn't scout, if he would have gone for like a 2-port Wraith opening or dropship with mines, Hwasin would have been in a lot of trouble. Even just a 2-fact
Oh, it would have been
tank
bad
push.
news. Oh, that's a lot
Like
of vultures.
Flash moving in here, but I mean, just like you said, with those narrow bridges, it's just so difficult to push out. And I'll be interested to see if one of the players decides to go for an engagement and tries to push out, and Flash actually backing up. So both players just playing an extremely passive game. 4 factories down for Flash. Hwasin's still on 3, but looks like sending the SCB out to build his 4th. So I don't think this is going to be too decisive here. Both players just kind of camping on opposite sides of the bridges. So I think this is going to turn out really similar to the Fire Bat Hero Flash game, where it turns into a kind of late and macro game, which I think, in my opinion, is going to favor Flash.
Yeah, well, I mean, the main difference here is that neither player is really taking any kind of advantage in the game at this point. So both players, I mean, their vulture production is almost completely equal right now. So it's all going to be on who engages when and what time and what tech switch. I mean, we're probably going to see a similar situation in this game to last game, where both players are going to switch techs really late. Actually, just as I'm saying that, it looks like Flash has made 1 tank. I don't know if he's decided to switch completely to start making tanks, or if he's just going to build a couple 1 by 1 there. Looks like Hwasin's still upgrading. I don't know if he has speed yet. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have mines yet, so that might actually still be mines. But looks like, yeah, both players are going to play a vulture heavy. Neither player is going to take the advantage for a long, pretty cute marine snipe there from Hwasin. And basically, what's going to come down to is who controls the bridge. Yeah, the red sniper. It's going to come down to who controls the bridge and on who's ground. I mean, okay, Flash doing the smart thing to get a tank to break out from those vultures, but Hwasin getting mines just in time and laying down a whole shitload of them. So it's going to keep Flash in his base for at least a little while. Wow, that's a lot of mines. That's just an incredible amount of mines right there. Flash, at the very least, he has control of his bridges, so he's not going to get contained anymore, considering he has those tanks out. Even though he can't move those tanks past his bridges, he can at least hold his bridges and not get contained. Okay, laying down a scan here to pick off some mines. But there's just so many of them, oh man, he just keeps laying them down. There's a lot of vultures from Hwasin. I don't know what exactly his plan here is. If he's going to keep going into vultures. I know he's built 1 tank now. Oh, hide your face. Oh. No, oh, see, we got to see her face at the end there. She does not have a good micro. Yeah, just snuck one in on her. Oh, no, got 1 tank.
That hurts.
Oh, that's bad news. Yeah, that sucks really good. Especially when you're still on 1 gas. Well, neither player have taken their second gas, just as a note. What's normally the timing you would see in a TVT of this nature to take your second gas? I mean, I would think that you would want to take it as soon as possible, but I guess if you're going vultures, you don't. Like, what? How does that really
well, when
work?
you have one factory with machine shop producing tanks, and then tech is pretty much fair off of 1 base. And now that both players, I think Hwasin has just finished his machine shop, and Flash is building his as well. So then you normally want to take your second gas when you're taking your second machine shop so you can continue tank production. And
Oh, nice
Flash
vulture
sneaking a vulture behind.